Well, the defense rests in the Karen Read trial. Will she be changing her pantsuit for a jumpsuit? 30-year Canton cop Peter Murphy thinks this whole thing stinks worse than sardines in a sauna. He joins us. It's Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by our friends at LA Golf. We are live on TuneIn and YouTube. And before we get to Karen Read, we got to touch in on the Blake Lively situation. On Monday, Judge Lewis Lyman dropped a bomb to the benefit of Blake Lively when he all of a sudden dismissed Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against Blake and his $250 million defamation suit against the New York Times. Justin filed his suit in January. Blake's lawyers officially filed a motion to dismiss it on March 20th, 2025, almost 3 months ago. So why did the judge toss it now? That seems to be the question everybody's asking. Mark Geragos coming up in a few minutes here. He's going to explain all of that because I don't get it either. But Judge Lyman concluded all of a sudden that since Blake made her serious allegations of sexual harassment against Justin in a legal California civil rights complaint, what she alleged is actually privileged or protected. Therefore, it lacks the necessary malice to be deemed defamation. That also releases Ryan Reynolds and Blake's publicist Leslie Sloan from Baldoni's suit as well, because their characterizations of Justin as a sexual predator stem from Blake's legally filed allegations. And since their assertions were based on a legal filing, they're not slander or defamation either. What the hell? You can file something called a civil complaint and after that no one can accuse you of anything? It's just all of a sudden you're indemnified? I don't get it. Basically, Team Baldoni believes the civil rights complaint that Blake filed back in December of 2020 was a shield to say and allege whatever she wanted without recourse. Justin claims months prior that she threatened to take that action if he didn't essentially give her creative control of his movie. It ends with us. So that'll be interesting. Discovery is going to go forward. We are going to find out if, in fact, she did make that threat. Give me my creative control, or I'm going to file this complaint. To be clear, 5 of the 9 major claims in Baldoni's lawsuit have been permanently dismissed. Amazingly. The other 4, though, can be amended and refiled by June 23rd. No doubt Brian Friedman, Baldoni's lawyer, is doing that right now. So his case will proceed. Those 4 still viable claims having to do with the breach of contract against Blake are false light, invasion of privacy, basically saying that she damaged his reputation by painting him in a misleading manner. Promissory fraud. Basically, she made promises to Baldoni to lure him into cooperating with her demands for control of the film. Tortious interference with contracts. She intentionally messed with his contractual relationships with financiers and promoters, so she screwed up the business of the film. Remember, Wayfair is the producer. And breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, which means she just violated the trust inherent in a good working relationship. So are they packing up and going home? Not a chance. Brian Friedman said this on TMZ Live yesterday.
On a false victory tour, and she's afraid of the truth. And the truth is, going to be shown through depositions, which is what's going to be next. I've noticed her deposition. It's set in June. We're going to see if she's going to appear at that deposition or not. And we're going to proceed forward with the case. And we're going to show that there was no sexual harassment. And we're going to show that there was no smear campaign.
Yeah, okay, so there's Friedman, and Blake's lawyers came out with an emphatic statement of victory shortly after Judge Lyman's decision to dismiss the Baldoni suit. They said today's opinion is a total victory and a complete vindication for Blake Lively, along with those that Justin Baldoni and the Wayfair parties dragged into their retaliatory lawsuit, including Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times. Oh, the poor New York Times. As we've said from day one, this $400 million lawsuit was a sham, and the court saw right through it. We look forward to the next round, which is seeking attorney's fees, treble damages, punitive damages against Baldoni, Sarowitz, the publicist Melissa Nathan, and other Wayfair parties who perpetrated this abusive litigation. All right, so what does this all mean? Joining us right now for some Geragosian analysis, the great Mark Geragos, who can break this down for us. Mark, everybody in the chat section is asking the same question. Why?
Which is?
Now? I mean, why couldn't Judge Life, if Baldoni filed the suit in January, say it was January 10th, why wouldn't he throw it out on January 11th? Why does it take till June?
Well, it is in federal court, number one. There is a protocol, if you will, that you have to go through. And so is this warp speed or no, but it also is not a slow roll. So to me is not really the most pertinent question. The most pertinent question is, will this hold up? Because you do have, as Brian just articulated, you do still have the discovery process. And if in the discovery process, some things come out that turn out to undercut the decision by His Honor, hold on to your horses or buckle up, whatever cliche you want to use. This is far from over. I agree with Brian on this.
So if things come out that aren't, friendly to Blake, and they come out in the discovery process, can Brian then re-engage? Would Lyman say, okay, well, you know what, you can re-engage that lawsuit? Because as I understand it, there are 4 claims that are still viable out of the 9 claims that were in Justin Baldoni's $400 million suit. You can still go forward with a bunch of breach of contract stuff and invasion of privacy, and things like that.
I'm really a little kind of perplexed as to the victory lap that Lively's lawyers are taking. I don't get it. I mean, I should take that back. I do get it. When you win and it's a lengthy opinion, you're obviously going to crow about it. But it really is premature if we're being honest about it.
Friedman would have done that. He would have crowed too. We know Friedman.
Look, I would have crowed. Yeah. So I get it. I get the.
You guys crow.
I get the crowing. We do. That's what we get paid to crow.
You guys are tremendous crowers. Look, it's all very shocking to me. It seems to me like total victory. No, it seems to me like a great legal move, but it's one that most people don't understand. So you're telling me that if I want to call Mark Geragos a total creep and, pedophile, whatever I want to call you, if I file a civil rights complaint with California, that indemnifies me, that protects me, so you can't retaliate and go after me for calling you such things?
It's really one of these weird anomalies in the law where you can, and I don't agree with it in most cases, and I think in most cases, people don't have the wherewithal or the resources to fight it. But one of these things that a lot of people do is they hide behind the immunities of the lawsuit. So in other words, if you use the lawsuit in order to do what you could not do across the street from the courthouse, that somehow grants you immunity. It's like a shield around you that protects you.
Not just you, but Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan and everyone else saying, well, no, we called him if we called him a sexual predator, it's not that. We're going off this lawsuit that we found from this nice woman over here named Blake Lively, like they aren't all together or something, just because it seems very believe her-ish to me. Hashtag believe her, something we went through and doesn't seem to be that prevalent anymore, that you can just say those things.
We're sitting here right now as I sit in New York City, Harvey Weinstein, the jury has had a devil of a time on the retrial. Nobody even knows that case is being retried. It's amazing to me that you talk about somebody who was wall to wall a number of years ago. You could not go anywhere and not hear about it. And now the jury's been deliberating for days, was hung, came back on one guilt, not on another, and they're still hung. And you haven't heard anything about it. It's been all the oxygen is sucked out of the air because of Diddy and to a much lesser degree, Karen Reed.
Okay, so by the way, quickly on the Harvey Weinstein thing, so they said he's guilty of the sexual assault charge against Miriam Haley, but not guilty on the the Kaya Sokola one, and then they're waiting on the third. But it seems even if it's just that one count that he's guilty of, he's going away, right? Harvey's not going to get out now.
Well, the part about this case being retried in New York is he's still facing a over 10-year sentence out of California on the California conviction. Why anybody felt that it was necessary to retry this New York case right now just shows you, as I've always said, it's wonderful to be a prosecutor because you've got no budget. You can just do whatever you want. Nobody's ever going to cut your budget because you always just wrap yourself in law and order, and that's all that matters. What sense does it make to retry a man in his 70s who's in ill health, who's already facing a minimum of 10 more years somewhere else, which he's not going to outlive, but you're going to waste all the resources to retry him?
Well, if you're a woman and
if
you're a woman and you in your heart you were sexually assaulted, that like these three women
if you're a woman in your heart, he's got a life sentence out of California. What is the point? What interest are you vindicated?
Well, maybe that doesn't set them free.
I don't know that this unsatisfactory resolution sets anybody free.
Okay, but all right, let's get back to Blake Lively 1 second. So Brian Friedman, now, what does Friedman do? You guys are good friends. I'm sure you talk about this. Does he feel like he's had his wings clipped, or does he have some moves ahead of him?
I've known Brian for a long time, and I'm not talking out of school because I haven't talked to him since the verdict, it's not a verdict, it's a decision in this case. But I know Brian. If I had to predict, this has just made him even stronger, dare I say, a little bit angrier and more resolved to achieve justice.
Should he have seen this coming?
Lawyer,
should he have seen this coming?
Absolutely. I mean, you never, ever. In high stakes litigation, any high stakes litigator will tell you, you always, part of what your bread and butter is, you look at every permutation, every possibility, and you always expect the worst and prepare for the worst.
So Brian should have known that Blake could hide behind a CRD complaint and basically immunize herself from any type of defense that Justin would put up against her, right?
Hey, look, I will just tell you, I don't think it's over by a long shot. This is not the end. I think this is just the beginning. Okay. It's the first skirmish. It's not the battle.
All right. This is what we call Geragosian analysis, and people pay top dollar for this, but not me, because I've known Mark a long time.
Yeah, you have known me for longer than I care to admit.
I really appreciate it, though. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Philly.
Mark Geragos. Yeah, this is unbelievable. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, the Michael Jackson trial, Mark Geragos, to me, he represented Michael Jackson. I remember that. That's when we really connected back in 2005. All right, let us shift gears. The Karen Reed retrial is basically over. The defense has rested. There could be a decision this week. The jury is their closing arguments are looking like Friday. They could go right. I think they come out very quickly. Karen stands accused of killing her ex-boyfriend, Boston cop John O'Keefe, on a snowy and cold January 29th, very early in the morning after midnight, 2022, by hitting him with her Lexus SUV, they say, at 24 miles per hour in reverse. This retrial came down to biomechanics this time, accident reconstruction. Both sides say the data is conclusive. I've been clear about this. In my opinion, I think she is innocent. The injuries that he sustained, John O'Keefe sustained to his head, face, and arms, say dog bite and physical altercation. The injuries he did not sustain to any part of his body below the chin conclude for me that a car was never involved. But witnesses, they get paid and you get what you pay for on both sides. Back by popular demand, His last chat with us garnered more than 1 million views, so you could call him a ratings machine. Retired Canton Police Sergeant Peter Murphy. He served the Canton Mass PD for 30 years. He knows the playing field. Jesus, Peter, what have you been doing? You got a trainer or something? You look unbelievable. You look...
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great, baby. What have you been doing? You've been working out?
Right, Billy. Really great to see you. I was trying to think, how many weeks ago was it I was on, or months ago? Do you remember approximately the date?
I don't know, but everybody's been watching it and talking about it. And since then, you've been on some kind of workout program or something, because you look very, very fit. I'm going to say that.
Well, believe it or not, thank you. As part of the movement group, there's a couple of people that are very, very into wheatgrass and ginger root and a bunch of things. As a matter of fact, honest to God, and as a matter of fact, Dylan Davies is on it. He's lost 5 pounds. His stuff is super tonic.
Next thing you know, you're going to be in a yoga Pilates class or something like that. What are you doing? You've lost your mind. Anyway, you look good. It's all working. We're talking to Peter Murphy, 30 years, police sergeant, Canton PD. You were out front of the courthouse today. You were there at the trial. Paint the scene for me. What was it like outside of court?
I've been outside of that courthouse pretty much 5 out of 5 days a week since April of 23. Today was really, really exciting. We've been getting a lot of out-of-state visitors coming in from Utah. Somebody had a live stream going today, and the person jumped in from Iceland. You tell me, you've covered a lot of big cases in the past, Billy. This case right now, to me, is certainly one of the more significant ones I'll ever see in my lifetime. And obviously, OJ comes to mind.
No kidding.
It's just unbelievable.
It's amazing. Trial watchers, Peter, is a very interesting thing. It's how I met that woman, House in Habit. You know, Jessica House in Habit. She's now gone full MAGA, but I met her at the Gwyneth Paltrow skiing trial in Park City, Utah. Remember that guy on the slopes that said, he accused Gwyneth Paltrow of coming down screaming like a gorilla, he said, down a mountain out of control, and whacked into him and took him down. He tried to get paid by Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth won that one, but that's where I met her. And then you think of all the people that came for the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. That turned into quite a scene. He would arrive every day playing music. These things are now venues, and people do, come together. So I've noticed the crowd get bigger at Karen. I'm interested in this from your perspective because of your time serving in the Canton PD. Are you getting heat from your fellow law enforcement community, your fellow cops? Are they mad at you?
Yeah, this heat's been on my back for a while. They actually warned me and cautioned me not to come to a couple of officers' former colleagues' funerals. That there was literally a target on my back. And lo and behold, they targeted me. I got jammed up, totally framed, Billy, for want of a better word. And that's I guess, verbiage you've heard before on the Karen case. And they set me up. There were no elements of the crime. And I am on a six
did they accuse you of?
Kind of hold.
What did they accuse you of? Framed you how?
So the police station at 1492 Washington Street is immediately adjacent to a church. When I say immediately adjacent, they share a property line. And we had a big rally back in September of 24, September, 14th, I believe. Huge rally on the front lawn of the police station, Billy. We had all the news stations. We had many of the content writers there. I happened to speak. And at the end, we all cleared. Nobody got served. There weren't any police officers around. Then on December 27th, 2 officers came up to me and said, Mr. Murphy, we're going to charge you with trespassing. You have to leave the property. There was nobody there. There was nobody from the church. I never got any paperwork. I said, well, and I knew the Sarge. I said, Sarge, you must have some paperwork for me because I haven't seen it yet. He goes, oh, look, I'm not going to dispute it with you right now. Get off the property. Had to hire a lawyer. Couple of $1,000 possible bill ahead of me, and at the hearing with the magistrate, Billy, here's where it gets really dicey. In discovery, the lawyer said to the magistrate, "Sir, I don't see where the elements of this crime have been met against my client." And he said he hasn't been put on notice. He was never warned by the police or the property owner. And the comment was from the prosecutor of the police department, Oh, that report isn't in the folder, but we have it back at the station or something along those lines. It's a supplemental report. And I said, well, I looked for discovery on this case 2 weeks ago on my own behalf, and now here my lawyer is, and nobody's got that supplemental report, which is the whole case, the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, if you're not put on notice, there is no trespassing.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's it. They hit you for trespassing 2 weeks after the event, right? I mean, after the event, that's a...
No, I might have confused you. The major event that we had was back on September 14th, and allegedly that's when they put me on notice that I was no longer wanted on the property. But they didn't nail me until December 27th. However, I've learned from some sources that they only put the signs up, and this is the caveat, they only put the signs up, which when I say that the size of my laptop computer that I'm looking at, the week before in December, so sometime around December 20th, we had about a 5-inch snowfall, and the snowplow buried those two signs that were ground level. Nobody saw them, and they weren't visible. They weren't visible the day I pulled in, Billy.
You didn't know you weren't trespassing. Okay.
I didn't know there was nothing.
And who cares? You're standing on the front lawn. I mean, come on. It's okay. He's trespassing. It's right in the middle of town. What is that sign behind you? I can't read it. I feel like I'm at the optometrist. I need to cover one of my eyes and say JKB with justice for Sandra, Karen, and John. Bring in the feds. Who's Sandra? I got Karen and John.
That's that Sandra Birchmore case that where she was deemed by Morrison's office.
Oh, you can come back.
I'm coming back. She was deemed a suicide victim a year before the Karen Reed case, Billy.
Oh boy. All right, so the cops have... Look, the thing that's hard for people to understand, I think what's like... For me, and you served as a cop for 30 years, so, you know, for me, it's hard. Like, I believe the best in people, right? It's hard to really wrap your head around the fact that so many people, you know, could come together to defend, you know, that thin blue line. That there would be such, I don't know, such a thread, a through line with all this corruption, that so many people could come together and tell lies together. I mean, you've lived a little life. Wake us up to this. There is that kind of evil in the world.
I never, ever thought in my lifetime that I would have to stand in front of Superior Court or in front of the Canton Police Station, knowing what I know as far as the improprieties of what have been done to Karen Reed and the allegations that have been made, the non-investigation. I mean, I am humiliated. I'm embarrassed. And I am goddamn angry, Billy, about what's going on. I risked my life for 30 years, kissed my kids goodbye, and myself and all the many other good officers that are out there today and have retired, we deserve better than this. We shouldn't be getting slandered. This is going to be a mess when this comes out.
Yeah, I amen to that, and thank you for your service. Peter Murphy, longtime Canton PD sergeant, retired as a sergeant.
Yes, sir.
So Peter, you know, both sides seem to have heavily relied on accident reconstruction this time. Are you surprised we never heard from Michael Proctor? He wasn't called during this trial, or either of the Bryans. You know, neither Brian Albert or Brian Higgins were called during the trial. They had starring roles the first time around. It really got down to sort of biomechanics and technical data. Did that surprise you? And was that smart, do you think, by the defense? Is that where it all lies?
I think after watching, this is my opinion, I think the defense probably looked at the totality of the circumstances and all the lies and on all the inconsistencies and knew nothing about, you know, the old famous adage, if you don't know the answer to the question, don't ask it. Well, they didn't know the answer to any of these questions because everybody that you just mentioned, for the most part, told the white lies or lied altogether. And they were probably afraid to bring these people in, not knowing what a cock and mammy story they're going to hear. So go with the hard, fast, physical data, science, physics. That doesn't lie. People lie. Evidence doesn't. That's
a good point. That's a really good point. Have you gotten a chance to meet Karen? And when she comes out of trial, you know, when she comes out of court, they throw some microphones in her face. She talks. Does she mingle with the people? Have you ever had a conversation with her? Does she know of your support and loyalty?
She does. She's very appreciative. We've talked in the past many times. She says hi to me when they drive by, when we're at the standout. She knows me. She says, "Hi, Peter." I say, "Hi, Karen. Good luck."
Oh my.
She's amazing. She even said to me the other day, she said, "Hi, Peter." She said, "Oh, you got a haircut." How did she know that?
Well, I noticed something too. I don't know. You look. I think you might. I'm noticing the juice cleanse. Anyway, it's interesting. I wonder. There's such a community here. It seems to me most people are on Karen's side. Is there a presence outside the court that is pro-police and anti-Karen? And how big is it?
No, I would say it's zero. And I would tell you that in all the standouts that we have done in Canton, Dedham, we have 100 strong sometimes in Dedham every Sunday. I would say it's 95% or better support for what we're doing and what our signs say: Free Karen Reed, Justice for John O'Keefe, etc. 95% or more horns, thumbs up in the air, favoritism toward our movement. Very seldom do we get a negative look or gesture from the hand.
Yeah.
From the other side. Very seldom. Very seldom.
You know what's amazing to me, Peter? I have to tell you, I keep coming back to this. I keep thinking about Peggy O'Keefe on the stand, John O'Keefe's mother, and I ache for the woman and the pain that she's been through and the loss. You can see how just damn beat down she is. I mean, she lost her daughter, she lost her son-in-law, and then she loses her son. I mean, this is just, she's suffered incredible loss, and to her husband as well. But I think of Peggy, she is so bought and paid for on behalf of the cops. There's no part of her that will entertain that anything else could have happened to her son other than that little Karen, who she doesn't like and never did, obviously, because of their interactions in the hospital. What is she doing here when she runs into Karen that morning at the hospital, when Karen went to pick up her stuff after she left the hospital, when she went to John's house to pick it up? They have icy interactions. She hates Karen. But the fact that she's heard everything, we're all rational people, and we're all sitting in the court, we're all in the jury of the court of public opinion, and we're hearing what we're hearing. Most people are like, absolutely, this woman didn't do it. And yet the mother is so far gone. Why do you think that? Is that how deep the police loyalty runs in Boston?
That's a very good question, and it's asked by so many people, that how can anyone, without even having any knowledge of the case, if you just came in and took a cursory look at the evidence of the autopsy pictures, etc., how could anyone ever think that a car hit him and that those aren't dog bites? And that's where the conversation should end, Billy. I don't know. Let me put it this way. I've never suffered the probably emotional trauma that both families are going through right now. And I can only say that it would probably be easier if she was sold a bill of goods by the other side, the non-Karen Reed supporters, and got closure immediately than to try to go through this turmoil. In other words, I guess what I'm saying is, in her mind, if it was easy to get closure on what happened and buy into that plan 100%, then, God bless her. I understand why she might be doing that, but that could be the only explanation I can offer.
Peggy is just, she's just stone-faced. I mean, I'm looking at Brian Albert, I'm looking at Brian Higgins, I'm thinking, do you guys have something you want to say to me? Because in the end, I mean, the closing arguments are going to, take place Friday, we believe. I think the jury's going to come back very quickly. It could be this Friday. I believe they're going to come back. I'm pretty confident Karen is going home, whether it's, hung jury or whether it's totally innocent. I'm guessing totally innocent across the board. And then what do? Are they going to go and try this thing a third time? Or is Peggy O'Keefe and maybe someone else going to say, why don't we take a break here and go find out who actually did this to John O'Keefe? If I'm a mother or father, I want to know what happened to my child.
Exactly, Billy. From your lips to God's ears, find out who really did this. And my only comment to you on that theory is that I believe the feds are definitely coming in on this case. And I believe they are waiting to get everything they need, get all their targets lined up, and I believe they will come in. I believe they spent $500,000 on ACA they're not going to walk away from this case, Billy. They've spent a lot of hours and dollars on investigations. We know that. We know a lot of the people they've talked to that's come out in this trial.
You think the feds are going to investigate the MSP, the Massachusetts State Police, and the local police and all that? You think they're coming in?
I do. I think they might even come under the RICO Act, which is the Organized Crime Racketeering Act. And
but Trump is such a pro-law enforcement, pro-cop guy.
Correct.
I think I don't see him doing that. Do you? I mean, really?
My opinion only. I really see the feds.
Basically, everything's decided at the federal level by Donald Trump these days. There's no independent Department of Justice or FBI. They're all, extensions of his tentacles. So if he wants to, it will. If he doesn't want to, I mean, that's the world we live in.
I do think he's a law and order guy, for whatever that means. And I really think that he's got his sights on Massachusetts right now, and as probably does Leah Foley, who took Josh Levy's job.
Okay.
U.S. Attorney General.
All right. We're talking to Peter Murphy, 30 years, Canton PD, retired as a sergeant, and he is taken, you know what? We're looking at people these days who have the courage to step up and do the right thing. He is, he's one of them, but he's saying they're not one of, they're not me. And they're not he's doing it for him and for the other cops that retired with honor and dignity. Now,
correct.
We got to go someplace. I feel like you and I know each other well enough now that we can approach this one last little area. It's a crazy rumor that's going around, but a lot of people are saying it. So you and I can talk about it because we're great friends here. But have you heard anything about this whole swinging thing? Like the Bryans and the Jen McCabe's and all these people inside that party, that they're all a bunch of swingers?
In my opinion, I can conclude that has been out there now for almost 2 years. And there's a lot of names that are floating around. I won't disclose them right now, but yes to your question.
Really?
No receipts. Billy,
No
my keys aren't in the bowl.
Yeah, there's something. My keys aren't in the bowl. There's keys in the bowl is one thing, and then they say if you see 2 Adirondack chairs in somebody's front lawn, it's a signal that we swing inside. And the other thing I heard was if somebody leaves their garage door a foot open, then that's a sign that hey, we swing in here. I mean, you're a cop.
Or an upside down pineapple. Put that into your journal. An upside down pineapple, Billy.
And that says we swing too? That's a
fourth one? That's what I've been told.
I mean, you're a cop. You've seen some crazy things back in. I mean, have you ever walked in and had to arrest a swing? Have you ever had the noise ordinance and you had to go and bust in on a swingers party?
No, I got out in 2010, and if it was happening then, I was blind to it. I can tell you that right now, but. From what I'm hearing, it's out there.
Wow, it's wild and Ken. The final person I want to address is Beverly Cannoni, the judge. She got ripped in the first trial, and she gets killed in the second trial too. But she, the way she ruled in the first trial for Karen is it's really terrible. I mean, the jury went back, and they were, the jury was. She said that she came out and said it's a hung jury. But the jury was unanimous on 2 of the counts, 2 out of the 3. They were unanimous in no, and she mixed it all up together so that all 3 counts of manslaughter, leaving the scene, and murder could be tried again. So that's just outrageous in the first place. But she gets accused of bias and all that. Do you know this woman? Have you had interactions with Beverly Cannoni, and what are they saying about her around town?
I think you pretty much dialed it in. The speculation is that the district attorney's office and the judicial system in Massachusetts need to be scrutinized, and the only ones that are going to get a fair trial for a lot of people that come through that courthouse will be the federal government, the feds, Department of Justice, and likewise. And
she sounds nervous to me. I got to tell you, but when I hear her talk now, she says, "Yeah, sustained, okay, overruled, side by." I think she feels like, I think she knows in her bones where this is going. And I think she just wants to bury her head in the sand. I think she knows Karen Reed is going to walk free, as she should.
Well, even going back to the initial, she was supposed to step out of that judgeship and go into civil court, and she wouldn't recuse herself and said, "No, I'm staying through this trial." And
Yeah.
it's been a lot of controversy over the fact that she didn't turn that judgeship, for in July 1st or whenever it is they rotate out, for the simple reason, Billy, that if you leave the same person in the same place with the same people, you get the Stockholm syndrome, which is everybody kind of congeals into one friendship, and you cannot get an unbiased situation.
Yeah.
She should have recused herself. She should have gone civil. They would have brought in another judge. We might not be having this conversation today. Not even to bring up the fact that had the Canton police done their job at 6:06 in the morning and investigated that like a real crime, we still wouldn't be here.
Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to text our semi-regular guest, Peter Ducey, the Fox News Channel reporter Ducey, who covers the White House. He's always in there with Trump. I'm going to ask Trump if the feds are going to come investigate the Boston cops because of this Karen Reed trial. Let's see. He'll ask Trump.
Please do. And if he
We'll find
doesn't touch base with Howie Carr.
Oh, yeah, the great Howie Carr. Whoa, what a great set of pipes he has. Peter Murphy, longtime Canton cop right there. We really appreciate your time. You're out there in front of the courthouse. We're going to be going live on Hot Mics here when the jury decision comes down. We're going to be live, so we're going to be coming out. We got, I think, Alan Jackson and Karen, and we're going to talk. I'm going to go after Krowski one more time. Krowski, I've got you in my sights right there. Krowski thinks that she's guilty. Absolutely not. I will fight with him again. Anyway,
Good job.
I appreciate you very much, Peter. Thank you.
All right.
Keep cleansing, baby. Keep cleansing.
Great to see you. Stay well.
Yeah, you too. What a great guy. Do we love Peter Murphy around here or what, huh? Coming up, my thoughts on ABC 86ing Terry Moran. Bob Costas went after Donald Trump, and now he's getting heat. Why he says it's a badge of honor, though. And is Pam Bondi just a total moron? You make the call. Plus, fire away. Ask me anything. We've got a couple of questions coming in just a minute here. And literally, we were afraid of no question. Whatever you want. Hot Mics, Billy Bush, sponsored by LA Golf, our lead sponsor here, the most technologically advanced golf gear on the market. The U.S. Open is this weekend. Bryson DeChambeau is a favorite. He's a big, strong guy, plays nicely out of the rough. He's also the defending champion, won last year at Pinehurst. He debuted in the LIV tournament last week. He debuted the all-new LA Golf irons, and he chipped in 2 from the rough off the green. So LA Golf with their new driver and the putters, and now they're into irons. It is literally the most advanced technologically gear on the market. I guarantee it. Go to lagolf.com. All right. Let's rock it. We're going to talk to, this Terry Moran story is unbelievable, and what's going on downtown Los Angeles and what's going on with Bob Costas. We'll take a quick 30 seconds and back to it.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA Golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left.
Anybody hungry?
So does he work here?
Work here? He lives here.
All right, welcome back to Hot Mics here, brought to you by LA Golf, and let's talk hot tweets on Hot Mics. ABC News fired Terry Moran, their reporter, longtime foreign correspondent, national correspondent now, or not anymore, but he just got fired for a late-night tweet aimed at Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, and Trump himself to a lesser degree. But what he said was opinionated, it was personal, unbecoming of a network journalist doing his level best to appear neutral. He snapped. He hit his tipping point. And he fired off a tweet at 12:06 a.m. First thing I think after midnight is, were cocktails involved? Can't rule that out. Anyway, here's what Terry said on Twitter about Stephen Miller. Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Oh, my God. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. Well, Terry, you shouldn't be sending that when you're supposed to be a reporter, not an opiner, right? You leave that to the Jesse Waters and the Sean Hannitys of the world who have the editorial shows. But ABC News responded they had suspended him, and then just yesterday, we are at the end of our agreement with Terry Moran, and based on his recent post, which was a clear violation of ABC News policies, we have made the decision to not renew. They could have ended it there and it would have been fine, but they wanted to get a little holier than thou, okay? A little self-righteous. The statement goes on. At ABC News, we hold all of our reporters to the highest standards of objectivity, fairness, and professionalism. No, you don't. And we remain committed to delivering straightforward, trusted journalism. Blah, blah, blah. I love it when a network news organization tries to grasp for the moral high ground where it just doesn't exist. Here's what I did. I took ABC News statement. I put it into ChatGPT. I gave it a couple of prompts. And out came, by the way, ChatGPT, nice sense of humor. Out came a news statement that ABC might as well have put out. While we technically ended our agreement with Terry Moran because of a tweet, let's be real. We're still hungover from that $15 million tab we had to pick up after George Stephanopoulos opened his mouth. So when Terry went full truth teller and called Trump and Stephen Miller world-class haters, we saw the lawsuit bat signal light up in the sky and panicked. At ABC News, we strive for objectivity, fairness, and not getting sued again by Trump's legal circus. We wish Terry the best, ideally somewhere with fewer billion-dollar lawsuits and more tweet freedom. Pretty good, ChatGPT. But that's it. I mean, it's like, really? We're so committed to this, that. No, you're committed to paying off the President of the United States so he doesn't hit you with overregulation. And now he's doing it to CBS News. And CBS News is Sherry Redstone is trying to take cover and say, okay, just give us the $15 million penalty that you gave them so we don't stick out too much as total suckers. But, you know, Trump likes to take it up a notch. No. They humiliated them. It's not humiliating enough if you have the same bill. It needs to be more. So he'll stick to the $25 million and see if CBS can get that done so they can sell their company. Poor Terry, though. Terry Moran. I mean, it's like in hockey. The ref usually catches the guy who reacts to the cheap shot, and then he goes to the penalty box. The reactor goes and serves in the box. In this case, Terry Moran got ejected. As soon as he gets over the sheer panic of being suddenly shamed and cast out of that beautiful elite club to which he belonged for like 28 years, he'll be more than okay. He'll probably be rich on Substack like Jim Acosta of CNN. Like Jim Acosta, they probably paid him like $500,000 a year on CNN. He makes like $20 million or something on Substack. But he'll also be free, okay? You'll be free like me, Terry, minus the rich. Okay, Bob Costas also snapped a little bit. Hall of Fame sports anchor and play-by-play man with encyclopedic recall. I go back with Bob many years, every year at the Olympics. We always had a lot of fun together. He fired this yesterday about Trump. Because he is the president, to a certain extent, who he is and what he does and what is done in his name has been normalized so that responsible journalists have to pretend that there's always two sides to this. There really isn't two sides to much of what Donald Trump represents. Look, if someone is contending that the earth is flat, in order to appear objective, you're not required to say, well, maybe it might be oblong. No, it's not. Certain things are just true. And regrettably, something that's true in America right now is that the President of the United States has absolutely no regard and, in fact, has contempt for basic American principles and basic common decency. And again, I've heard this on occasion. I used to love Bob Costas, but when he turned political, and of course, Bob says when I did that, every good thing I did for 40 years was washed away. Now I suck. You know what? If that's what you think and that's how you think, and you think it in defense of that guy, I wear that as a badge of honor. I think that's bold. You know, Stoic philosophy, whether you agree with him or not. I just don't think, who's afraid of someone's opinion? Like, why? Like, someone else's opinion, no matter how strong it is, AOC or whoever, it doesn't threaten me. I can hear someone else's opinion and not feel like threatened and angry and want to strike back. Stoic philosophy has 4 cornerstones. I studied it like crazy when I got fired and, was in the wilderness for a few years. The 4 cornerstones are wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Terry Moran and Bob Costas may have not gotten perfect scores for temperance, but courage? Having the moral courage to stand for what you think is right and risk getting fired or, excommunicated or hated on Twitter or whatever, an argument can be made that was pretty courageous. But will they be remembered for their courage or forgotten entirely because the machine waits for nobody? There's definitely some mafia shit going on right now, and you know it. Like I said, CBS is hoping to only pay the same shakedown fee as ABC before the Don allows the sale of their parent company, Paramount Global. He wants $25 million for that, for the library. That money goes to the library, the presidential library. Boy, that's going to have like multi-tiers. That's going to be the mecca of presidential libraries. There's going to be like UFC, fighting cages on each floor. As for the, now we switch to the no longer peaceful ICE protests in Los Angeles. The governor, Gavin Newsom, said this on national television.
Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. Ooh. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3 co-equal branches of independent government. There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found. Speaker Johnson has completely abdicated that responsibility.
Somebody's running for president. Somebody found their moment. Somebody's got great hair and is very handsome and, hopes people forget about the LA fires. Right? I'm just a fair arbiter here. A radical centrist. Jon Stewart said, LA, is your city ever not burning? John, that was rude. I live here. Sort of funny, but rude. Except it's not just LA. It's Atlanta, it's Chicago, San Francisco, more probably coming. Can we just engage the nuance filter a little bit? Did Trump sending the National Guard and now Marines escalate the violence? I mean, sure. It brought out the reprobates. It's been 60 years since a president has called in the Guard. Was it performative, mostly, to fire up the base? Yeah, I think so. Is it working? Yeah, no doubt. He's trailing Joe Biden bigly on deportations. ICE's numbers are like 200,000 so far. Biden was at 700,000 at this point. So, he makes a show to give the impression that, it's going down. In fairness, Trump has shut the southern border. He's getting a lot of credit for that. He shut it down almost entirely, so it's harder to get the deportation numbers up because none of the deportations are happening immediately on site because the thing is shut down. So, he's a victim of his own success in that regard. The new border right now is the courthouse. They wait for, illegals to come out of court. The judge says dismissed. They walk out. Boom. They get arrested. Stephen Miller is the immigration czar. He went to ICE headquarters to read the riot act to everybody at ICE. He says, I want 3,000 arrests a day. Remember, Kamala used to be the immigration czar? Miller says, I want 3,000 arrests a day. He's like a parking meter maid, right? With the quotas. Is the media repeating now, keeping the nuance going, is the media repeating the same bullshit that blew up in their face during the social justice peaceful protests 4.5 years ago when looters were playing smash and grab at every pharmacy and electronics store? Yeah, they are. Did Trump say he was going to execute raids before he won the election outright? Yes, he said that. Why is anyone acting surprised? There are at least 1 million illegals in Los Angeles. Trump isn't starting in like Salt Lake City. He doesn't do that. He's going right to the heart of the blue, where he doesn't ever care if another vote comes in for a Republican because it won't. Anyway, let's turn to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. She was asked the difference between the January 6th Capitol riot and what's going on now in Los Angeles. Look at this.
You've been criticized for having a double standard with the president pardoning all these people who attacked police officers on January 6th in his first day in office. How do you answer that criticism?
Well, this is very different. These are people out there hurting people in California right now. This is ongoing, no longer. We're going to protect them. We're going to do everything we can to prosecute violent criminals in California. California is burning. These people are waving Mexican flags, yet they don't want anyone to go back to Mexico. They're burning American flags. This is the United States of America, and we're going to protect Americans. We're going to protect all citizens out there.
Pam Bondi. Do we have the clip that I called for earlier from the pageant?
That, and I apologize for that, but what I'd love to do right now is play my favorite Bondi clip to go with it.
Nope.
No.
Definitely not. You can't keep going back to that clip. You love that clip. The clip I wanted was, you remember Mario Lopez was with the girl in 2007. Yeah. Pam Bondi reminds me of that girl. The reason why most people don't have maps. They don't have maps to know where the world, she gave the worst answer in the beauty pageant, and the poor wheels came off. The same cadence in that voice reminds me of Pam Bondi. It's amazing to me, if you remember, Pam Bondi is the second choice for Attorney General, behind Matt Gaetz. You're second best to Matt Gaetz. I'm sorry. She is so, I really think that she is bought and paid for, and she's a stool pigeon. I just don't, it just is. She's not bright at all, but she's got all the credentials she needs, which is yes, sir. Yes, sir, on every front. You know, we need in America, third party. We just do. Elon Musk and Mark Cuban are talking about it. Musk, you're a little tainted to be talking about it now. Seems reactionary. You should wait a little bit to think about it. But Mark Cuban has been talking about it. He's my guest on Monday here on Hot Mics. We're going to talk about a third party and how do you even launch that. All right? I definitely want to hear more on that front. All right, switching gears now. It's time to ask Billy anything. Fire away. Any question. And let's see. Okay, we have Finduco. Finduco is writing in. What is the funniest thing that you ever heard or that has happened at an interview? Oh, my God. All right, a couple of things. All right, I think of the Mike Tyson interview. It was on live television with Mike Tyson. It was kind of weird. He was weird. We were trying to get a vibe. And at the end of the interview, I just remember saying to Mike Tyson, totally out of nowhere, Mike, many people have told me that you have a beautiful singing voice. I was so happy to hear that. Would you mind singing a little bit of your favorite song? There was like 4 seconds of quiet. He's looking at me like I've got 7 heads, and I'm like, that was dumb. Why did I do that? This isn't going to pay off. But I did stay quiet. And finally he goes, who let the dogs out? I don't even remember who sang that song. But he just goes like crazy and starts singing. And oh my God, everybody came apart. It was the funniest thing. The greatest moment for me, because I was so young and I was a Access Hollywood reporter in New York. It's probably 2002 or 3, and I had finally gotten like what I was dreading, and that is an interview with Jerry Seinfeld. I always worship Jerry Seinfeld. He's the ultimate New Yorker. I'm from New York. I confess I only wanted him to like me when I went to this interview. And so I prepared meticulously. It was for a documentary he was doing on comedians, and the interview was to take place at a place called like The Bottom Line, and it was a comedy club underground in New York. And so I went down the stairs, and I was wearing a lavender button-down shirt, sort of thin, nice little button-down, no tie. Jerry is wearing a black turtleneck. You know, very comedy people do that. We're downstairs in the comedy club, 2 cameras, the lights, the whole thing. I start asking him questions. Things are going very well. I'm super prepared. Jerry seemed to like me. I was getting what I wanted. And then I start thinking about it. You ever been in this situation where you're like in an interview or something and you start thinking, oh my God, this is going well. This is great. Well, why did you start thinking about it? Just let it go well. Don't think that it's going well. And now it's not going well. Oh my God. And then I get myself worked up into this place and I'm starting to sweat and I'm getting anxiety and shit, everything was great. And now I'm starting to feel the sweat come down my shirt and my cheeks. And I'm talking to Jerry and Jerry's still going and everything's fine. I look down on my shirt and I'll tell you, a little sweat patch the size of Rhode Island starts to take form, and I'm like, blowing, please go away. And we're going, and then Rhode Island starts to become Massachusetts. And next thing you know, it's all of New England. Then before you know it, I have Africa on my... Jerry looks at me. I'm sweating. He stops, and he goes, "Are you going to be okay?" And I just went, "No, Jerry, I'm not. I'm so nervous. I couldn't hold it together anymore." And he goes, "It's okay. Don't worry." And oh my God, I came apart. We finished the sweating. It actually let all the air out of the room. We laughed. And from that point forward, Jerry always made time to do an exclusive interview with me. And I think it was to remind me every time of that situation. He loved to bring it up. He still does. Anyway.
Billy, I have one more that I've witnessed, and you'll tell the story better than me. But on Access Live, the Gay Man's Chorus, we had them on every year. And Bill, you came out one time unexpectedly. I think you need to tell the story. You're a better storyteller than me. But we destroyed ourselves in the control room laughing. We were surprised,
The Gay
too.
Men's Chorus of Los Angeles making their annual appearance to come sing Christmas carols on Access Hollywood Live. And they're going to do their big crescendo. They're going to do an outfit change, and they're going to come out in black suits with red ties. And they said, okay. And I said to our wardrobe person, right when we went to commercial, I said, "Do I have a black suit and a red tie?" And she said, "You do." I said, "Get it now." And I took my microphone off and I ran backstage quickly. I threw on the suit. She grabbed the shirt. I put on the tie. I ran back in. I said to our director, I said, I'm going to be in the back right corner. And when I'm in there with the chorus, just pan by the first time with the camera quickly. You don't see me. Come back the second time quickly. Zoom in on another section. Do the old past and then, what did I just see? And then come back and then give me the big zoom in and catch me mid-song. And, oh my God, I don't know if that's online somewhere, but the Gay Men's Chorus, they were going full tilt. We were singing something uproarious. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. And then in the end, the camera comes in and finds me, and oh my God.
Very good.
It was
Very good
classic.
moment. Very good moment.
Classic.
Yeah.
Well, it is Wednesday,
All right.
and that is means it's a very important tradition, a tradition like none other. We bring in Skinny Vinny, my assistant, Skinny Vinny, who had a huge week last week, which is an ironic word. You lost 4 pounds, and you needed to lose 4 pounds because you were at a stalemate for several weeks in a row. He started this journey at 267 pounds in January. Last week, he hit 227. So 40 pounds lost. He's got 10 more pounds to go by July 29th. And if he makes it to that point and loses the 10 before, he gets $5,000. Let's roll the weigh-in. Vinny, are you feeling confident here? You got a smile on your face.
I'm getting a little worried, man.
You getting? Oh no! Did you add some? No way! No wait! 226.
So I lost a pound.
You lost 1 pound. Okay.
Yeah. But I am getting worried. It's like there's no time for error right now.
Well, why do you think you lost the week before? How do you think you lost 4 pounds and then this one only 1? What was the difference between?
I got a little too cocky, honestly. I ate so much this last week.
Well, that's good.
Pastrami sandwiches, pizza, all types of garbage.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have what I have a little bit, which is there's a little bit of a self-destructive mechanism in you that like if I lose a bunch of weight and I look super lean, I immediately go and pig out because I'm like, wow, I earned it. And then it comes right back and you don't get to enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. But I will say, I ate like garbage up until Sunday, and then I hit the gym really hard, and for me to still lose a pound, I'm pretty surprised. I just have to stay on track with the diet.
Notice you're wearing all black today.
Oh yeah, it's for school, barber school.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's the one thing that kills you, Vinny? What kills Vinny? What's the food that we got to make sure we don't keep around?
Well, Vinny,
here?
by the way, Vinny's uncle owns Vito's Pizza in Los Angeles.
Pizza,
It is so good.
Wow.
Vito's on, is it La Cienega, right? Is it?
Yeah, it's on La Cienega between Santa Monica and Melrose.
Yeah, and he's got another one in Santa Monica. He's got 2 locations,
Yep.
but Vito's Pizza is unbelievable. So does he do that? I've seen you leave a full pizza in my passengers, like in my car.
It was meant to go to you, but I made
I
a
can't say
mistake.
no to pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
pizza is definitely my weakness. I think it is for a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that and weed. I'm just kidding. That's it for us. Vinny, you're 9 pounds to go, honey. We're counting on you. Everybody's pulling for you. Hot Mics with Billy Bush wrapping up today. We are presented by LA Golf. Look for Bryson DeChambeau in the U.S. Open this weekend, swinging the LA Golf clubs. You can take your swing to the next level with their cutting-edge technology. Visit lagolf.com. Upgrade your game. Thank you for listening. We are back on Monday with possibly the man leading the charge for a third political party in America, Mark Cuban. See you later.